Xenos was born in a poor neighborhood and was deprived of many opportunities. Later, he became a doctor and joined an adventurers team, but they kicked him out because he was too weak. That's when Xenos decided to rely on his own strength and eventually became the most powerful mage and healer in the world. Our story begins with that Millennium girl named Leela, who woke up and prepared breakfast with that charming person named Xenos. Leela tells us that healers are ranked in 3 levels. Third-level healers can only treat wounds, second-level ones can completely heal a person, and first-level healers are those capable of transforming the world into a better place. This is the kingdom of Herzaith, a land whose history has long been tied to healers. They helped expand it and granted it great prestige. Many healers gather at the Royal Hospital in the city to learn advanced magic and receive their licenses to begin their journey as official healers. However, the man before you, Xenos, does not hold a license to practice healing. Still, he is incredibly skilled. He works as a healer, and after helping someone, the man thanks him and pays him for what he was able to do. Leela congratulates Xenos on becoming so talented. People now come to him from all over to be treated by his extraordinary powers. Xenos sets off on a new adventure while Leela prepares food for when he returns. She is extremely talented at cooking, like a professional chef. Then comes Carmilla, the girl with beautiful eyes and very long hair, who tells Leela, "I'm going to my room and will wait for dinner when you've prepared it." At that moment, Zofia also arrives, waiting for Xenos to return. Everyone is gathering, coming to see Mr. Xenos. Even the cat girl. It seems Xenos is quite the popular man. So far, 4 girls are waiting for him. We don't know what he'll do for them yet. Leela finishes making the food and steps out to change her clothes since they are all going to eat together. The girls begin tasting the food and find it delicious. One of them says, "Wait until Leela gets here or she'll get mad and hit you. We must eat together." Meanwhile, Leela is outside washing clothes in the garden, enjoying the beautiful weather. She then takes a short rest. But inside, the great disaster occurs. The girls kept tasting the food until they finished it completely. There was no food left. They all start panicking, wondering what to do now, as there aren't enough ingredients to make another meal. Then Leela walks in and says, "What's the matter, girls? Why are you all standing there like that?" Slowly, they begin telling her that the smell was so good, they just wanted a taste. And then everyone kept tasting it until it was all gone. Leela replies, "It's okay, but we don't have enough ingredients now to cook another dinner." And they all apologize to her. Leela asked the girls to bring her more ingredients. Linga quickly offered to go get them right away, but Zofia interrupted her, insisting that she should be the one to do it and that she would bring the best ingredients. Then Loyu cut in, saying that she could carry any amount needed. Carmilla then spoke to Leila, saying she thought Leila should have been angrier. Leila responded that she wasn't that mad, because she was an adult and liked seeing everyone gathered together. She then thought to herself that she might still be able to finish making dinner before Xenos returned. Meanwhile, we see Xenos walking down the street when he notices a girl named Teal walking tiredly. A Horty man approaches her. He is her master. He asked her where she had been and what she was doing. She told him her stomach had been hurting, so she went to the hospital, but since she didn't have any money, they refused to treat her. The man hit her, angry that she thought mere pain was enough to earn her any sort of mercy. After all, she was just a slave. He threw her to the ground and ordered her to return to work. He then dragged her to a place filled with graves and tossed her down beside one of them. A dark shadow emerged from the grave and entered her body. He struck her again, demanding she get up and find him something valuable, promising to return before her and saying he would feed her today if she proved worthy. Suddenly, Teal stood up, now transformed into a ghostly figure, and landed a powerful blow to his stomach. Terrified, the man ran off. He bumped into Xenos and told him that his slave had gone crazy and was attacking him. He begged for Xenos' help. Xenos asked what kind of work they were doing. The man hesitated, then claimed they were only doing farming. He then offered to pay Xenos to do something to her. Teal approached, ready to attack the man again, but Xenos stepped between them and asked her why she was so enraged. She didn't answer, instead launching another attack at him. However, she couldn't harm him. The man yelled at Xenos to kill her, but he refused, saying that killing wasn't his job. The man grew angry, declaring that he was a noble and she was just a slave. He could always buy another. Xenos apologized, saying he tries to save any life he can. At that moment, Teal lunged at him again. Though Xenos blocked her attacks, she was incredibly fast, faster than any normal demi-human. She dashed toward Xenos, trying to strike his face, but he raised a large mana shield that repelled her, sending her flying into a nearby building, which exploded from the impact. Half the building collapsed onto her master. Xenos walked over to the fallen Teal, telling her that he would help remove whatever was possessing her, so she needed to calm down. The shadow exited her body before Xenos could even begin. He promised her that he would help her. He used healing magic and began to treat her wounds. As he healed her, Teal lost consciousness. Xenos, however, was left wondering what kind of farming work exposes someone to spiritual possession. The man was astonished when he saw Xenos heal Teal's broken leg in an instant. He realized Xenos was extremely powerful and begged him for help. Xenos replied, "My work hours are over for today. I might come back tomorrow, but if you really want help now, it'll cost you a lot." The man handed him some money, but Xenos didn't seem impressed. The man protested, "That's already higher than market price. Do you think a healer should extort people with outrageous fees?" Xenos calmly replied, "I am an unlicensed healer working in the shadows. It's a job from the criminal world, like grave robbing." The man threw his hands up and said, "Fine, take her, do whatever you want." Xenos took the contract from him, bought Teal, and accepted the payment. The scene shifts. Teal wakes up, and Xenos tells her that he bought her and wants to explain what he did. He found a gallstone blocking her bile duct and causing inflammation. "I noticed you were bending over like you had stomach pain, and your skin had a yellowish tint. That caught my interest, so I followed you." He continued, "I opened your abdomen, removed the stone, and closed it back up." Teal thanked him sincerely for saving her. Xenos told her he expected equal value in return. "You'll start working right away." She responded, "I'll do anything you ask. I'll repay you as your slave." Xenos then asked her about something in a book and said he needed her help researching it. They went into the forest, and she handed him some documents she found, saying, "I still owe you." He told her, "I always pay a fair price for the work I request, and I expect the same in return. You found these papers. I wouldn't have been able to find them alone. Their value is equal to what I did for you. Your debt is paid. You can go wherever you want now." Then he tore up the ownership contract. Teal said to him, "The place I want to go now is, well, since I'm no longer a slave, I'll live to find that place. When I discover it, I'll come back and tell you." She asked, "Will I see you again?" Xenos replied, "Yes. Come find me. Whenever you're hurt, I'll be there to treat you." As a healer in the shadows, the scene shifts back to the house. The girls were preparing dinner, and Xenos asked what they were doing. They quickly told him that Linga hadn't done anything wrong and that she hadn't eaten anything. Linga explained that they brought a lot of ingredients, so she decided to cook. And with that, today's episode of this anime comes to an end. Stay tuned for the next episodes. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss any updates. Our story in Season 2 begins with Katie talking to Jaff. Jaff was cursed with a burden no one could endure, but unfortunately he tries everything he can to deal with the curse, all in vain. Katie tells him that in his current state, he's a very dangerous person and could die at any moment. But Jaff replies that he doesn't care about anything, he just wants to fight until the end. Then he leaves. The scene then shifts to Belle, who wakes up and says, "Where am I? What is this place? What am I doing here?" She takes her sword and gets up, then sees someone outside the door. Turns out to be Bennett, who came to check on her, but Belle imagines something else and uses her powers, slamming the door shut and almost killing whoever was outside. The person then transforms into a girl and tells her that he's her friend. After Belle regains her consciousness, he comes in, sits with her, cleans the messy place, and even makes her tea. Belle starts talking to him about Adonis. She liked him when he was strong, but when he was weak, it made her nervous. She tells him that when Adonis asked her to go out with him and fulfill her wish, she wanted to run away and tried to sacrifice him for that. She knew if they went on a journey together, it would have been very difficult and might have ended with her dominating and killing him. He was seeking help, while she was very cruel. "Why am I like this, full of spite and hatred? I killed him. How long will I remain alone?" Then she cries heavily, unable to do anything. She says she wants to become a great traveler, but that would only lead to more loneliness, being by herself. Bennett tells her it's not her fault. She did everything she could, even the impossible, to become a great traveler. Though she hasn't achieved that yet, she shouldn't give up. She must keep fighting to reach her goal, and she definitely will. He tries to comfort her until night falls. At night, Belle begins performing certain rituals, but she notices something. Her eyes seem cursed with a powerful curse. She says, "Let's begin now. I think time is running out." She continues with the ritual and starts singing. In the end, the spirit returns to the depths of the ocean and never sees Belle again. She bids her farewell and leaves. Later, we see Belle walking through the forest and meeting Bennett, who has transformed into a man. This happened after a long time. Bennett sacrificed his feminine identity to save Belle from what she was going through. Thankfully, she had improved a lot. Then Bennett says that the hearing of mermaids is excellent and that he wasn't any different than before. He tells her that he's grateful to her. At that moment, Gwyn passes by them and Belle greets him. He tells her that his head still hurts. They ask where he's heading, and he replies that he's going to rest his head until the funeral. From his words, Belle understands that he also received the news from the Raven. They let him go on his way and continue on theirs, eventually arriving at their destination where they meet Mist. She welcomes them, surprised to see them there. Gwyn tells her that he owes the late Great Commander a lot. Mist then takes them aboard a ship to reach the fortress of Clan Collins. On their way, Mist talks to Belle to check on her and her wounds. She tells her that 10 of their men left the battle with broken swords, but she was very impressed with Belle's performance during the fight. Belle replies that when she cut down Tiziano, she thought that was the end of it. She didn't know they had continued fighting afterward. Mist asks her if she had known they would keep fighting, would she have joined them? Belle answers that she doesn't belong to either side, neither good nor evil. She doesn't know what she can cut or what she can't kill until she tries. That's why she considers that she'll keep fighting to cut what must be cut. Then Mist asks if she's heard about the curses of those travelers. Belle replies that Gwyn told her because he used to visit Mr. Jinbuk regularly. Then Mist asks her about Adonis and why he isn't with her. She had heard they promised each other to go on a journey together. Belle answers that he disappeared and she doesn't know where he is. Even if she wanted to talk to him, he's probably hiding because he knows she would tear him to pieces. After that, they finally arrive at the fortress. Belle finds it massive, looking almost like a watchtower. Then everyone enters the castle. Then Gwyn replies, yes, this is one of the Collins clan's castles. I've waited for this for a long time. They go outside and Belle sees the place. She recalls something and says, it looks like the Aerial Path Cemetery. After that, they meet Kaniel. He tells them, I will be presiding over this funeral. Belle asks him, if you're from the Collins clan, are you from the catacombs? He replies, yes, I welcome you as the chief monk and guardian of Taurus. He explains that this place is one of the 4 fixed palaces of the catacombs, and that Aeon, the place they defended, is one of them. He thanks Belle for what she did in the battle on behalf of the Collins clan. Belle responds, we fought for our lives too, as people on the side of the Lords. Kaniel tells her, your battle bridged the gap between the Lord and the weak. You embodied our highest ideal. Gwyn speaks, saying he's happy to have seen him. Kaniel replies, you're Gwyn. Jin told me a lot about you when he was alive. Gwyn then tells him, as the one responsible for burning the catacombs in that battle, I was eager to meet you. I sent many messages to your clan through Master Jin. Kaniel responds, yes, your message reached us, and I read it with great interest. Now, everyone prepare yourselves. I will now perform the final rites. It is time once again to ask the dead for news. Time for another of our siblings to sleep in this sacred land, bathed in the radiance of the holy earth. When will the raven flowers bloom? When will the pride of this land take root in your corpse and blossom? I too claim kinship with a brother who perished in that battle. Then we see Gwen speaking to the dead. We burned the flower gardens of the catacombs so we could survive. Do you expect me to believe that burying you here means we are forgiven? I've come to you once again for a new script. A new path for the people from now on, a shift toward paradise in the land of Shuert. And that's how today's episode of this anime ends. Stay tuned for the upcoming episodes. If you like the video, don't forget to subscribe and activate the notification bell so you don't miss anything new. Kenechi, a single man in his 40s, is transported into another world for no apparent reason. As he tries to escape a dangerous forest teeming with monsters, he realizes he has the power to access to a huge online store. Our episode begins with our protagonist, Kenechi, living his normal life. Suddenly, something strange happens and he finds himself in a forest, realizing that he has been transported to another world. He opens his personal status screen and looks for his life points, magic energy points, and skills. Then, he opens the online store page. When he tries to purchase something to eat, the screen requests money, but he is broke. He discovers that he can place items from around him into the electronic screen. He gathers some herbs, places them inside the screen, and it transforms them into edible items. Kenechi spends several days in the forest trying to find people in this world, but remains alone. While eating, several monsters appear around him. Terrified, Kenechi searches for weapons in the electronic screen. He attacks the monsters with some fire missiles, but they are ineffective. Then, he retrieves another weapon and throws stones at the monsters, hitting some of them. Finally, he grabs his bike and escapes. The next morning, Kenechi wakes up, uses binoculars, and realizes he is near a city called Dahlia. He decides to head there. On the way, he meets a man named Furio on a cart. Kenechi rides with him, and Furio comments on Kenechi's strange clothes and name, asking about his purpose in the city. Kenechi replies that he is there to trade. When they arrive in the city, Kenechi thanks Furio for his help and gives him a pouch containing pepper as a token of gratitude. Furio is surprised that Kenechi would give him something so dangerous, as the Bakoba Spice Guild monopolizes the spice trade, and catching their attention could lead to trouble. Furio insists on not accepting anything for free, so he gives Kenechi a small amount of money in exchange for the pepper and leaves. Kenechi explores the city and arrives at a restaurant where a waitress named Azalea greets him. She asks if he wants a meal or accommodations. Kenechi requests a room, and Azalea tells him that a room without meals costs a copper coin, while a room with half-board costs a small silver square. Kenechi hands her a copper coin for a room without meals she asks him to sign, but Kenechi hesitates, as he cannot write the language of this land. Azalea is surprised by his clothes, saying she has never seen anyone dressed like that before. Kenechi explains that he wants to stand out and came to this city for trade. Azalea informs him that the Merchants Guild will not register him unless he can read, write, and perform calculations. She tests him with a math problem, and Kenechi answers it correctly. She acknowledges his skill in math but emphasizes the need to read and write the local language. Kenechi asks her to teach him the language, offering her some sweets from another land as a reward. She is delighted by the sweets, saying she has never tasted anything like them in the Kingdom of Kadan. Kenechi then realizes he has been transported to the Kingdom of Kadan. Kenechi begins learning the language and finds it relatively easy to pick up in a short time. He draws a picture of Azalea, and when she sees it, she is deeply impressed. The next morning, Kenechi heads to the guild, intending to register with the Merchants Guild. The guild receptionist, a young woman, informs him that he needs to fill out a form. Kenechi is surprised to find that the form is handwritten and assumes that printing technology has not been adopted yet. After completing the registration, the receptionist informs him that the registration fee is 1 silver coin, approximately 50,000 yen. Shocked by the high fee, Kenechi asks if he can pay in installments. The receptionist agrees and gives him a token, a symbol of his guild membership, which he must wear on a chain while conducting business. After leaving the guild, Kenechi strolls through the city markets and notices that items are expensive. A single dish costs around 5,000 yen, and even low-quality, seemingly used knives are sold for 1 silver coin. At that moment, a fruit vendor calls out to him, offering a bundle of fruits for 1 copper coin. Hungry, Kenechi buys the fruits and stores them for later. Later, he returns to his lodging, where Azalea remarks on the fruits when he offers her one. She identifies them as rinka fruits, which are incredibly delicious. Azalea is delighted to learn that Kenechi has joined the guild. Afterward, Kenechi goes to his room and lies on his bed, dreaming of becoming a famous merchant and making a fortune. The next morning, Kenechi designs a small stall with drawers for his business. After completing the stall, he checks its functionality. Azalea is amazed by the clips he produces because the ones she owns are simple sticks split in the middle with a string at one end. Kenechi's clips, on the other hand, are beautiful, sturdy, and equipped with a spring. She suggests that he make more and sell them at the market. The scene transitions to the market, where Kenechi asks a fruit vendor for permission to set up next to her. The woman looks at him and remarks, "What kind of stall is this, sir? You don't seem to have anything to sell." In response, Kenechi pulls his stall out of his storage box, surprising the woman. A neighboring vendor approaches him and inquires about the price of his clips. Kenechi tells her that 5 clips cost 1 copper coin. She expresses interest in trading them at a higher price. People continued to come to him to buy his goods. Afterwards, she told him that clothespins were selling like hotcakes because he had sold so many that morning. She then thanked him, as she was also making money by being next to his stall. Kenechi thought to himself that he had made about 15,000 yen in profits, just enough to sustain himself for the day from selling clothespins. However, he expected imitators to start selling similar clothespins eventually. At that moment, a customer approached him. When Kenechi looked up, he saw that the man was wearing a sword and dressed in very elegant clothing, clearly someone of high status. The customer said he wanted to inspect the knife. Kenechi handed it to him to try out, and the man found it to be very sharp. The customer asked about the price, and Kenechi told him it was 2 silver pieces. The man thought it was expensive, but acknowledged that he had never seen such a pure blade before, so he understood the high price. After returning the knife, the man asked for a larger one. Kenechi searched through his inventory and explained that Japan imposed strict weapon regulations, making it difficult to find larger blades. Eventually, he found a larger knife and showed it to the man. When the customer tested it, he was amazed by its beauty. He asked for the price, and Kenechi replied that it was 1 gold piece. The man became angry, feeling it was too expensive, but he wanted it badly. At that moment, Miele approached Kenechi, startling him. He couldn't tell whether she was a cat or a human. Shortly after, her friends arrived to buy some goods. When Kenechi saw them, he fell to the ground in fright, as it was his first time encountering beast folk. There were no monsters in his village. One of the friends climbed up onto the stall to grab something to purchase, leaving Kenechi in awe and fear. Miyali approaches Kenechi, and he is frightened by her. She tells him, "This is the first time you've seen beast folk, isn't it?" Kenechi is astonished and then approaches her, apologizing. "There are none in the village I came from. You must be from a very remote village." One of the beast folk wants to take a woven rug, but Kenechi says, "Unfortunately, this is not for sale." However, the price for the woven rugs is 3 copper coins each. "If you want 3, I'll give you a discount and sell them for 8 copper coins instead of 9. The beast folk replies, "We don't have 8 copper coins, but we have small silver squares." Kenechi agrees, "I'll take 2 small silver squares and give you 2 copper coins as change." The beast folk take the rug, thank Kenechi, and leave. Anama talks to Kenechi, explaining that beast folk have difficulty with calculations. Meanwhile, the other boy buys the sword and leaves. The scene shifts to the guild, where Kenechi hands over some money to Azalea, saying, "This is the payment for 5 nights of accommodation. I made some decent profits." Margaret is seen talking to Dimala, admiring the clothespin. "I bought something wonderful like this for such a low price. I'd like to use it in the palace." Dimala responds, "We'll use it in our company." Mallow Trading Company's profit motto is, "Never miss an opportunity." The scene cuts to Kenechi taking a hot bath. He decides to purchase barrels for bathing, fills one with river water, and heats it over a fire. He thinks to himself, "I need a reliable product that I can profit from even more. I wonder how that thing called Shanghai works. The screen's light doesn't illuminate around me." He ponders for a long time, but can't reach an answer. Later, we see Kenechi at night, feeling very scared and wanting to eat until he's full. Suddenly, he hears a sound and runs, hiding in a spot. This concludes today's episode of The Animine. Stay tuned for future episodes. If you like the video, don't forget to subscribe and activate the notification bell so you don't miss any updates. Our episode begins today with Kenechi sitting in his stall, holding what appears to be diamonds or perhaps polished glass. "It would be amazing if luck favored me," he muses, "and I could catch the attention of women to buy my goods." Just then, his neighbor, a vendor, approaches and remarks, "What's this, Kenechi? Are you selling women's products now? They look pretty good, but tell me who supplied you with these." Kenechi replies with a sly smile, "That's a trade secret. I can't reveal my source." At that moment, a maid approaches his stall and requests 100 clothespins. Kenechi is surprised, but quickly calculates the price. That'll be 20 copper coins for 100. The maid notices another item on display and asks, "Is this diamond?" Kenechi clarifies, "No, it's polished glass in a metal called zirconia. Its price is 6 small silver squares." As the day progresses and Kenechi begins packing up his goods, a group of beast folk who visited him the previous night arrives. One of the girls in their group sniffs the air and declares, "I can smell spices on you. We want some spices. Sell them to us." Kenechi feigns ignorance. "What spices? I don't know what you're talking about." But the beast folk insist, "Stop playing dumb and give us some spices." At that moment, his vendor neighbor steps in and warns them, "Leave him alone. You'll attract the attention of the spice police and the guilds. It's illegal in our country." The beast folk plead with Kenechi. For them, spices are as valuable as forbidden substances. Kenechi finally says, "Unfortunately, I can't sell you spices. But how about I invite you to a meal spiced with them just this once?" He then tells them the dinner will be by the riverbank, outside the city limits. The group cheers and performs a famous dance in excitement. Later that evening, they gather at the designated spot. Kenechi, a skilled cook, begins preparing the meal. His vendor neighbor offers to help, and Kenechi tasks her with chopping vegetables. She marvels at their size and color, and Kenechi explains they're imported vegetables from another country. Meanwhile, the beast folk catch some fish to contribute to the meal. Together, they prepare a feast, and Kenechi adds his signature spices. Everyone enjoys the meal immensely. After dinner, Kenechi serves a special magical drink, and the group begins introducing themselves. The cat-like girl is named Mayali, and she's thrilled to meet him. They spend the rest of the evening dancing, and eventually bathing in the river under a sky full of stars. It's a magical moment, and they admire the beauty of the night. The next morning, Kenechi returns home, changes his clothes, and heads back to his stall to display his goods. Later, the maid returns with a beautiful girl in tow. The girl expresses excitement over a necklace she saw the previous night. She introduces herself as Primula, the daughter of Mallow, the owner of Mallow Trading Company. She invites Kenechi to visit their company the next day to meet her father, one of the most prominent and beloved merchants in the country. The following day, Kenechi rides in a luxurious car for the first time and marvels at the experience. They discuss the difficulty of crafting the metallic part of the clothespins, which seemed simple at first glance but proved quite challenging. Upon arriving at Mallow's residence, Kenechi is warmly welcomed by Mallow, a man with a large mustache. They sit together as Mallow examines Kenechi's goods and explains how his company grew to its current size using a special storage box. Malo then proposes a deal. He wants Kenechi to supply products to the Malo Trading Company. Kenechi counters, "You could just buy the goods from my shop at a lower price and resell them." Malo laughs and replies, "That would be foolish. I don't want to bother you or take away your trade secrets. Remember, don't let profits blind your vision." He offers Kenechi 50% of the retail price, and Kenechi agrees, signing a contract with the company. This deal earns him over $1 million from the few products he supplied. Prindala is delighted and rewards Kenechi with 10 gold coins, saying, "Here's 10 gold coins in exchange for some items." Kenechi calculates in his head 10 gold coins. That's about 2 million yen. He beams with joy at his good fortune. Then Kenechi returns home and calculates the value of the money he has earned. He realizes he has made a significant profit. The following morning, since he now has plenty of money, Kenechi decides to begin executing his plan to live a peaceful life. He heads to the forest, specifically to a spot he had visited before. He wants to build a house there. His friend warns him that it's very dangerous with monsters and ghouls lurking everywhere. However, Kenechi assures her that he knows this and that they don't pose much of a threat to him. He declares that he can easily take care of them. Kenechi starts by using a grass-cutting machine to clear the area, but he faces a challenge: fuel. Gasoline is extremely expensive in this region, but he has no choice but to buy it. Next, he uses a gasoline-powered chainsaw to cut down the trees one by one. His precision and skill make him look like a professional lumberjack. However, the hard work begins to wear him out. After finishing the cutting, he realizes the logs are too large to fit in a storage unit. The space can only store items under 10 meters in length. Kenechi decides to chop the logs into smaller pieces to make them easier to store. The next morning, he resumes work. This time he wants to uproot the trees entirely, but the task proves too difficult. Frustrated, Kenechi throws his axe aside, unable to continue the grueling labor. Determined not to give up, Kenechi uses his magic to summon a massive excavator. He quickly realizes, though, that he's spent 1.2 million yen on it, a huge expense. But he consoles himself with the thought that the machine will save him from further physical exhaustion. When he tries to start the excavator, it won't work. It needs diesel fuel to run. Kenechi searches the local trading shop for diesel and discovers lamp oil, realizing it could be used as a substitute for kerosene. However, it costs 1,800 yen per liter, a steep price. Despite this, he purchases 4 liters of lamp oil and some diesel, mixes them, and finally gets the excavator running. Later that night, we see Kenechi bathing in a lake. The peaceful moment is ruined by insects constantly bothering him. He recalls his friend suggesting he buy a magical insect repellent stone. The next morning, Kenechi heads to the market and enters a shop. He tells the shopkeeper he wants the magical insect repellent stone. The shopkeeper informs him that it costs 3 silver coins, which Kenechi finds quite expensive. Kenechi offers the shopkeeper a rare fruit instead. The shopkeeper is amazed, as he has never seen such a fruit before, and agrees to lower the stone's price to 2 silver coins. Kenechi thanks him and makes the purchase. Later, at Kenechi's stall, he notices posters on the wall and asks his friend in the market about them. She explains that the man in the posters is named Shaga, a notorious bandit leader in the area likely wanted for his crimes. The scene then shifts to the forest at night, where a young boy is being sold to another man and placed in a carriage with several girls. Suddenly, Shaga attacks them. The following morning, Kenechi continues using the excavator to dig the entire area. He realizes, however, that he has spent all his money on the excavator and must now find ways to save more funds. And so our episode ends. For more episodes of this anime, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell to stay updated. Our episode today kicks off with Kenechi sitting with Malls, asking him to taste salt and sugar. Malls finds the flavors good, but tells Kenechi he can't buy them since the state has exclusive rights over them. Kenechi shrugs it off and instead shows them engraved stones, which they love and end up buying. Later, Kenechi heads to the forest, telling us he earned 15 gold coins from his deal with Malls' company. With his newfound wealth, he can finally afford the wooden cabin he's been eyeing. But when he buys it, he's shocked to find the cabin delivered as separate wooden parts that he has to assemble himself. Kenechi begins building the cabin on his own, but alternates between working on the cabin and trading. He gets help from his monster friends, and after a month, the cabin is finally complete. That night, Kenechi lies on his new bed, thinking about electricity and realizing he still needs to paint the walls and roof. There's a lot more work to do. After another month, Kenechi finishes all the tasks. He builds a fence, creates a compost toilet, and installs a sink and kitchen. He even sets up 20 solar panels for electricity. One scene shows him bathing, telling us how he used a gas tank to carry water from the river so he could shower. The next morning, Kenechi wakes up and takes a bike ride through the forest, snapping photos of flowers with his camera. Suddenly, he's attacked with spears. He hides behind a tree and realizes the attackers are monsters who are unhappy about his presence in the forest and want him dead. Kenechi retaliates by buying rockets and bombs online, launching a counterattack. When they retreat, he purchases a tree-cutting machine and drives them further away. During the chaos, he hears the sound of a wounded animal. It's a cat struck by one of the monster's spears. Kenechi removes the spear, buys saline solution to clean the wound, applies antibiotics, and gives the cat painkillers. He decides to take the cat home to care for it, but grows concerned as the cat doesn't move. He wonders it dead. The next morning, Kenechi visits a wizard to ask about a healing spell. The wizard is surprised Kenechi saved an animal and suggests he kill it, use its skin, and sell it for a high price. Disgusted, Kenechi leaves and heads to a trading stall, where his friend expresses disbelief over his unusual act of kindness. Suddenly, Mayari shows up, asking to see the cat. They go to Kenechi's house, where he places a medical collar on the cat to ensure its safety. Mayari then goes bird hunting, grills the food with Kenechi, and they enjoy the meal together. She tells him she wants to stay with him, but Kenechi admits he only has one bed, forcing them to share it. After several days, the cat recovers. Kenechi begins farming, buying tomato seedlings and organic fertilizer. He contemplates a better way to water the plants, as fetching water from the river repeatedly is tiresome. He decides to dig a well. The next morning, the cat wakes Kenechi up, leads him outside, and vanishes into the forest. Kenechi takes a few days off from his trading stall to work on the well. After a week, he successfully completes it and connects water to his home. One day, Rimla visits, worried about his absence at the trading stall. She's amazed by his new home and asks about a metallic object behind the house. Kenechi proudly reveals it's his loyal servant robot. Rimla is stunned and asks if it can use magic. Kenechi confirms this, but tells her to keep it a secret. As night falls and the city gates close, Kenechi suggests Rimla stay over for the night. Then she looks at the barrel and says, "What a beautiful barrel," only to discover it's actually a bath. She gets super excited because she wants to take a bath, but she's also very nervous. So she calls out to Kenechi, who's sitting outside. Of course, he can't just come in, because it wouldn't be proper. She calls him again, explaining that her body is submerged in water and only her face is visible. Reluctantly, Kenechi approaches and asks what she needs. She tells him she's feeling a bit scared and asks him to stay close by. As they chat, she starts sharing her story about her father and the large company he built. He started his business from scratch, working hard for years, and eventually became a famous merchant. Kenechi, half joking, asks her, "What if I turn out to be the bad guy in the end?" She laughs and reassures him. Someone who feeds monster cubs and saves people couldn't possibly be evil. After her bath, she puts on a beautiful dress, amazed at how soft it feels, and tells him she wants this product. Kenechi, however, informs her it's not for sale, but promises he can make more. She then changes into a silk nightgown and notices him sketching her. She teases him, saying he could become the greatest merchant in Dahlia, even the entire kingdom, with his intelligence. Kenechi dismisses the idea, explaining that catching the attention of nobles only leads to trouble. They'd do anything to eliminate him as a competitor, maybe even kill him. He just wants to earn enough to live comfortably and enjoy good food. "I thank God for the little things," he says. Hearing this, Bermalo offers to sell his products under the guise of foreign imports so no one in the city will know it's his work. Later, Kenechi gives her the sketch he made, and she's thrilled as it looks just like her. She realizes he's not only a great craftsman, but also a talented artist. The scene shifts to a shady boss who's drinking and exploiting women. A man arrives and hands him a large sum of money for a mission. The boss is the most feared outlaw in the city. The next morning, Kenechi and Bermalo are riding in a carriage, the main mode of transportation in the city. They finally arrive at her father's house, where her father thanks Kenechi profusely for taking care of his daughter. Kenechi is surprised, expecting a more protective reaction. He assumes her father isn't jealous or possessive, but he considers jealousy an essential trait for any man regarding his family. Her father then examines the fabrics Kenechi brought and is impressed by their absorbency and texture. Just then, a servant enters with some records. It turns out Bermiola's father is a significant merchant, judging by the sheer number of records. He explains that record-keeping methods have changed, and he needs to rewrite them using a new system introduced by the neighboring empire, double-entry bookkeeping. Kenechi is intrigued, realizing the empire's rapid growth might be thanks to a mysterious inventor. Later, they discuss the differences between commoner and noble baths. Bermiola's father is curious to see the bath Kenechi described. Kenechi promises to show him later, but insists they focus on their new product first. Bermiola tries out a hand pump, marveling at how easy it is to draw water. Kenechi is puzzled, wondering how such a pump ended up here, as it shouldn't exist in this world yet. It dawns on him that another person from his world might be here. Kenechi then sketches a bicycle, showing it to Bermiola. She laughs at how strange it looks, having never seen one before. She thinks he's joking. That evening, Bermiola visits Kenechi again, hinting at her admiration for him. Kenechi, surprised, says, "How could a young woman like you be interested in a man in his 40s? She insists he's amazing and even proposes marriage. Kenechi, flustered, tells her they should wait as he hasn't thought about it. She boldly asks to share his bed, but he firmly refuses, saying it wouldn't be proper before marriage. The next morning, Burmala rides into the city with Kenechi, who promises to follow her later. Suddenly, a man resembling a law enforcer appears, but turns out to be Sir Norseball, a knight investigating rumors about a man living in the forest. Suspicious, he questions Kenechi about a device Burmiola has. Kenechi, nervous, claims it's related to magic and asks Nor to keep it a secret. Nor agrees, but demands a hefty bribe. Kenechi hands him 3 valuable metal ingots, which Nor plans to use to craft a steel sword. As they chat, Nor mentions hearing about a sorcerer who recently appeared in the Empire, using an unheard-of spell to create a yellowish sauce called mayonnaise. The sorcerer supposedly defeated a dragon using it. Kenechi is stunned, connecting this to double-entry bookkeeping, the hand pump, and now mayonnaise. What's going on? Who is this man? He wonders. To find out, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon so you won't miss the next episode. Our episode begins with Kenechi sitting in his trading stall telling us that the Malu Trading Company's caravan should return at any moment and that he must visit them later. Suddenly, chaos erupts in the marketplace. A large crowd gathers as a group of bandits, led by Shaga, who commands more than 50 thieves, ambush the Malu Trading Company's caravan and kidnap Primula. Her father desperately pleads for someone to save his daughter, offering any amount of money in return. The scene shifts to Shaga, who locks Primula in a prison cell, smugly telling her that he plans to ransom her off since she's the daughter of a major trading company's leader. Her father will pay whatever he demands. Back in the marketplace, Malu begs Kenechi to rescue his daughter. Kenechi tries to calm him down and agrees to help, but asks for some money. Malu, desperate, hands him a bag full of gold, telling him to use it however he pleases. Kenechi then opens his online store and purchases a large cart to travel the 50 kilometers to Shaga's hideout. Before the cart arrives, he warns the people to step back as it's a massive vehicle. Kenechi climbs onto the cart and calls out to the crowd, inviting anyone willing to fight Shaga to join him. He promises a hefty reward to whoever takes down a bandit, calling it an opportunity of a lifetime. But fear paralyzes everyone. No one dares to go against the ruthless bandits. Just then, the cat appears and hops onto the cart, joining Kenechi. Soon after, the girl Maeli and her beast companions step forward, declaring they'll fight alongside him. Kenechi hands them swords and spears to train with. Then, a warrior named Nor arrives, clad in battle armor, and asks to join the mission. Kenechi is surprised but happily welcomes him, impressed by his sword, forged from magical steel. An elderly tool shop owner also steps forward, requesting to join. Kenechi, worried about his age, refuses. But the old man, insulted, reveals that he is actually a powerful mage. He casts a spell, shocking everyone. Soon after, Lady Anama approaches and insists on going with them, saying she'll cook food for them during the battle. Kenechi asks once more if anyone else wants to join, but the rest of the people remain too scared. He then prepares to leave. Malu insists on coming too, but Kenechi refuses, telling him to stay back, treat his injuries, and wait for Primula's safe return. Before heading out, Kenechi visits the guild to get official approval for taking down Shaga. With everything set, the group climbs onto the cart and departs, leaving the townspeople in awe. How could this small team possibly stand against 50 bandits? The scene shifts back to Primula in her cell. A small captive girl enters, offering her some bread. Primula, still anxious, refuses to eat. The little girl then eats the bread herself, and Primula reassures her, promising that they will escape together. Back with Kenechi and his group, they take a break to prepare food. To their surprise, the meal is incredibly delicious. After eating, they gather to finalize their battle strategy, and everyone agrees with Kenechi's plan. Anama announces that she'll stay behind, as she wouldn't be of much help in a fight. Maeli climbs a tree and scouts the enemy's fortress, using a radio to inform Kenechi that it's time to move. As the team gets ready, Anama tells them that if they don't return within a day, she'll go to the Adventurers Guild and report their failure. With that, the group sets off, and Anama watches them leave, waving them goodbye. Maeli reports through the radio that there are guard towers with sentries on the walls, but they're all drinking alcohol. Seeing an opportunity, Kenechi and his team decide to launch their attack. Before they move out, one of the wolves hands Kenechi a strange fruit, telling him to eat it before the battle. Kenechi takes a bite, only to find it unbearably bitter. Suddenly, a strange sensation washes over, and he feels as if something is happening to his body, like he's been drugged. Despite the odd feeling, they board the cart and charge toward the fortress. As the battle begins, Maeli expertly takes out the guards with her spear, while the old man unleashes his magic, blasting open the castle gates. Kenechi then drives the cart straight into the fortress, crashing through enemy lines. A fierce battle erupts between Kenechi's team and the guards. They fight valiantly, cutting down many enemies, but as more guards flood in, Kenechi realizes they're vastly outnumbered. Thinking fast, he opens his online store and purchases a massive drilling machine. Jumping onto it, he plows through the remaining guards, wiping them out completely. Kenechi then slams the machine's drill into the ground, creating a massive hole. To everyone's shock, the pit reveals a hidden underground prison filled with kidnapped victims. However, Primula is nowhere to be found. Suddenly, Shaga appears on the balcony of the castle, holding Primula hostage with a sword pressed against her throat. He demands that Kenechi and his team drop their weapons or he'll kill her. Kenechi quickly devises a plan and whispers to Miali that he'll blind Shaga with a laser, giving her the perfect opening to strike. As planned, Kenechi fires the laser into Shaga's eyes, disorienting him. Seizing the moment, Miali hurls her spear, striking Shaga and forcing him to release Primula. Without hesitation, she follows up with another spear throw, this time straight to his head, killing him instantly. With Shaga defeated, they free all the captives and celebrate their victory. Later, all the girls take a relaxing bath after the battle. Kenechi asks Primula to take care of the little girl they found in the prison and to cut her hair. Primula happily agrees. The girl, now with a fresh haircut and dressed in a beautiful gown, looks stunning. She shyly introduces herself as Anime. Just then, Lady Anama returns, overjoyed that everyone made it back safely. She kneels beside Anemone and softly tells her that she once had a child the same age but lost them to the plague. A bittersweet moment passes between them. The episode ends with everyone peacefully asleep, resting after their hard-fought battle. To watch more episodes, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell to stay updated. Our episode begins with Kenechi and Primula returning safely to the city. When her father sees her, he hugs her tightly and cries with relief that she is safe. Then, Malo approaches Kenechi and thanks him for saving his daughter, expressing his deep gratitude. He then asks Kenechi if he placed the loot in his item box, to which Kenechi confirms. The scene then shifts to Kenechi and his friends as they burn the corpses of the enemies Kenechi defeated. One of his friends tells him that he needs to separate their heads from their bodies and store them in his item box as proof of their defeat to claim the reward. Kenechi is surprised but agrees, storing the heads inside his item box. Additionally, he gathers weapons and armor taken from the bandits, along with 100 gold coins found in the hideout, carpets, pottery, jewelry, swords, cabinets, tables, chairs, bags, bowls, spoons, forks, knives, and even vegetables harvested from the field. Next, we see Kenechi standing with the girls who had been held hostage by Shaga. As he bids them farewell so they can return home, they tell him they cannot return to their families on their own. Kenechi tells them that if any of them do not wish to return home, they are free to stay in this city and find work. He then asks the young girl, Anemone, where her village is located. Anemone tells him she is from the village of Orub, which is very far, about 500 leagues or 800 kilometers away. When Kenechi offers to take her back to her family, she refuses, explaining that her family abandoned her to reduce their burden. Instead, she wants to go with Kenechi to the city of Dahlia. The next morning, we see Kenechi's wolf friends at the guild, handing over the head of Shaga, the bandit leader, to the receptionist. They inform her that they have 52 heads in total from the bandits they defeated. Everyone is shocked by their strength. Later, Kenechi meets with the old man, who warns him that if the nobles find out how strong he is and how vast his item box is, they will resent him and never leave him alone. Kenechi reassures him that he will do his best to keep it a secret. Then, Nor arrives and informs Kenechi that he is going to meet Count Asclepius to report the nobles' involvement in the matter before leaving. That night, the guild completes their examination and rewards Kenechi with 861 gold coins. Lady Anama then asks Kenechi to leave Anemone with her so she can take care of the girl. Kenechi agrees, but asks her to take good care of Anemone. Later, Kenechi heads to the restaurant, where his friend Azalea approaches him, congratulating him on defeating the bandit leader. He tells her he didn't do it alone, he had many allies helping him. He then asks if there is an empty room where he can stay. Azalea informs him that his previous room is vacant, and he can use it. That night, as Kenechi sleeps, Azalea enters his room, only to discover that Anemone is staying with him. The next morning, Kenechi goes to the market, but cannot find Lady Anama. He also notices that the catfolk are suffering from a hangover. Kenechi then heads to the blacksmith to sell the weapons and armor he obtained from the bandits, earning 32 gold coins. Malo's company buys the valuable items he found in Shaga for 35 gold coins. He also sells the furniture and bows at the old man's shop, earning another 22 gold coins. In total, he accumulates approximately 17.8 million yen. He decides to split the money among himself and his 7 friends, giving each of them 12 gold coins. Then he returns home with the girl, Anemone, who is amazed by how beautiful his house is. They go inside and sit with Lady Anamama. Lady Anama asks Anemone to accompany her to her hometown so she can teach her about trade and so she won't feel lonely anymore. However, Anemone refuses and decides to stay with Kenechi. Lady Anama then leaves and Kenechi and Anemone return home. Kenechi prepares dinner for her and she absolutely loves the food. Later, Anemone takes a bath and they sleep together. During the night, a group of strangers is seen standing outside Kenechi's house. The next morning, Kenechi wakes up and heads to Malo's company with Anemone. There he meets with Malo and Primula, who apologize to him for mocking him when he first told them about the vehicle. They quickly realize how important it was, so they apologize and pay him 5 gold coins for the idea. After that, Kenechi and Anemone visit Lady Anama's stall, where she gives Anemone some fruit. Suddenly, Kenechi feels like someone is watching them. He immediately takes Anemone and leaves in a hurry. The strangers approach them, and Kenechi tries to run, but they surround him. A carriage appears, and the men order Kenechi to get in, threatening to kill them if he refuses. Kenechi agrees, but as soon as he gets inside, he pulls out fire rockets, lights them up, and escapes with Anemone. He then takes out his spear and warns the strangers to back off, or he'll kill them. The strange men get scared and retreat. Suddenly, Malo appears with his carriage and picks up Kenechi and Anemone. Malo tells him that this is probably the work of a nobleman and asks why he doesn't just go with them to meet their lord. Kenechi replies that he has no interest in doing so. Kenechi and Anemone get off the carriage, and later that night, Malo arrives home. Primula tells him they never properly thanked Kenechi for helping them earn a family title. She wanted to meet him for that reason after all. He was the one who invented the vehicle, which allowed them to obtain a noble name, since their family name was derived from the carriage he created. Her father agrees, saying their company owes Kenechi a great debt, and that they must return the favor. Primula gets ready and decides to visit Kenechi, but when she arrives at his house, she is shocked. She drops to the ground, crying because his house is gone. Kenechi had left the city. Meanwhile, Kenechi is seen riding a motorcycle with Anemone and the cat. On the road, he runs into his friend Fiu, who is astonished by the vehicle he is riding, as well as the girl and the cat accompany him. He asks Kenechi where he's heading. Kenechi remembers preparing to leave the city, packing all his belongings into a storage box, taking Anemone along, and having the cat join them as they decided to move to another city. Back to the present, Kenechi tells Fuyo this is his personal vehicle, this girl and cat are his family, and now he is setting off on a new journey, one without a destination. He bids Fiu farewell and rides off. And that's how today's episode of this anime ends. To watch more episodes, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell to stay updated. Our episode begins with Kenechi fishing and preparing food with Anemone. They are currently about 100 km away from Dahlia, which means they are now around 5 or 6 kilometers from the next city, Astrantia. After finishing the meal, they eat together, and Anemone tells him the food is delicious. Kenechi then uses his electronic drone to locate the city they're heading to and realizes that the river flows into a lake, and by that lake lies the city of Astrantia. They get on their bicycle and ride toward the lake. Once there, Anemone plays with the cat in the water, while Kenechi admires the beautiful scenery. He suggests to Anemone that they settle down here. Kenechi then uses his magic to summon a house. After that, they decide to name the cat together and settle on the name Phil, which Anemone loves. She starts calling the cat by its new name excitedly. That night, Anemone practices reading and writing with Kenechi. He opens the online store but realizes that diesel isn't available for purchase, so he decides to use kerosene for now, though it's expensive. He recalls seeing a TV program about biodiesel made from used cooking oil and decides to buy some books to study the process. Later, he lies in bed reading one of the books when Anemone enters, wanting to read with him. Kenechi explains that the book is written in his world's language, which she won't understand, but Anemone insists on learning his language and begins studying diligently. The next morning, Kenechi is outside when he suddenly hears a noise from the forest. He prepares for battle, but to his surprise, Miley appears. At first, he mistakes her for a monster. She angrily tells him that he abandoned her and left, but she managed to track him down by following the scent of the lynx in the cart. When Miley enters the house, Anemone is overjoyed to learn that she will be living with them. As they eat together, Miley tells Kenechi that Noor has proposed to Primula. Kenechi says he wishes he could attend the wedding. Miley then notices Anemone's storybook and praises its beautiful pictures, saying she can understand the story just by looking at them, even though she can't read the language. This gives Kenechi an idea to turn stories from his world into picture books and sell them here. He then asks Miley if this country has fairy tales. She tells him the story of the elf who lived in the forest and fell in love with a human prince. However, both the elves and humans oppose their love. The elf was about to die, but thanks to the power of the fairy, she managed to escape and live happily with the prince deep in the forest. Inspired by this, Kenechi prints out illustrated pages of the elf story and compiles them into a book. The girls are amazed by his work and thank him. Suddenly, Kenechi spots a boat on the lake with a man and a wolf aboard. He quickly tells the girls to go inside the house and approaches the stranger's weapon at the ready. The young man on the boat reassures Kenechi that they are not enemies. He explains that they are from Santaka, a neighboring village, and that they patrol the area to prevent bandits from settling here. Kenechi clarifies that he is not a bandit but a traveling merchant. He explains that he carries a weapon because he got into some trouble in a previous city and had to flee, had to fake it for self-defense. The boatman introduces himself as Croton and his wolf companion as Nyanius. Kenechi in turn introduces himself. Then they head to Kenechi's house where Croton sees the picture books and is greatly impressed, buying some from him. The next morning, Kenechi and Miali go out to gather herbs. Later, Kenechi enters the cabin to work on producing biodiesel, but the temperature inside rises drastically. He comes out wearing a protective suit, removes it, and jumps into the lake, telling the others that the cabin felt like a sauna. He explains that making biodiesel is dangerous since it involves handling a toxic substance, but if he succeeds, he can produce fuel at a very low cost. Kenechi then decides to go to Astrantia with the girls. They travel about 10 kilometers before reaching the city and head straight to the Adventurers Guild. At the reception, he informs the receptionist that he wants to register in Astrantia since he has already registered with both the Merchant and Adventurers Guilds in Dahlia. The receptionist suddenly asks, "Are you Kenechi, the one who defeated Boss Shaga in Dahlia?" Kenechi quickly tells her to keep her voice down as he doesn't want his personal information to spread. She agrees and completes the registration, informing him that the fee is 1 silver coin per person. Afterward, they explore the city, enjoy a meal together, and eventually arrive at a tool shop. The shopkeeper greets them warmly. Kenechi notices a strange-looking device and asks about it. She explains that it's a tool designed to separate specific substances from any liquid poured into its top container. Kenechi realizes that this device could help him produce biofuel without needing chemical additives and decides to buy it for 5 gold coins. Meanwhile, Anemone picks up a magical book, surprising Kenechi. He asks the shopkeeper if someone without magical power can use spells from that book. She confirms that it's possible, so Kenechi decides to buy it for 10 gold coins. However, the shopkeeper tells him that spellbooks need to be registered first, so he will have to wait a week to collect it. On their way home, they see Nyanius, the wolf, searching for his friend Croton. Suddenly, they spot a group of bandits surrounding Croton and his daughter. Kenechi decides to intervene. He quickly buys a mask and puts it on. Just as the bandits are about to attack Croton, Kenechi stops them by launching fire missiles at them. Terrified, the bandits flee. Croton thanks Kenechi for saving them and explains that these thugs are followers of Zotera. He used to work for the government and arrested many of them, so they've been targeting him ever since. Croton's daughter, Mary, approaches Kenechi and thanks him for the picture book he created. Anemone excitedly suggests that they make another book together, and Kenechi agrees. A few days later, Mary and her parents visit Kenechi's house. He welcomes them warmly, and they all share a meal and play together. Over time, both families continue visiting each other, enjoying their time together. Eventually, they collaborate on a new picture book about the story of Cinderella. One day, Croton rushes to Kenechi's house, holding a handful of coins. He desperately asks for Kenechi's help in finding medicine, explaining that Mary has a high fever and is in critical condition. This is all the money he has, but he needs a cure immediately. Kenechi considers using healing magic, but in the meantime, he buys a fever reducer and gives it to Croton to help Mary temporarily while they search for a better solution. Kenechi then grabs his bike and heads to a witch for advice. Together, they rush to Mary's home, where the witch diagnoses her with Chicory fever. She explains that healing magic won't work well against this illness, but there is a rare white flower deep in the forest called the Chicory bloom, which can cure the fever. Kenechi decides to venture into the forest to find the flower, with Croton and Nyanius accompanying him. As they leave, the scene shifts to the bandits lurking near Croton's house. They have finally found his home, and they plan to kidnap his daughter. And with that, our episode comes to an end. To watch more episodes, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss anything. Our episode begins with Kenechi, Croton, and Nyanius heading deep into the forest to retrieve the flower that the healer told them about to cure Mary's fever. They arrive at the spring, and Nyanius senses someone approaching. Kenechi readies his weapon, only to see that it's the cat, Phil, who has come to assist them on their journey. Kenechi boards a boat, finds the flower, plucks it, and hands it to Croton. Suddenly, numerous monsters appear around them. Kenechi summons 2 swords and gives them to Croton and Naionius, instructing them to return to Mary immediately. He tells them to use the swords to fight off any monsters they encounter along the way while he stays behind to deal with the rest. Kenechi launches rockets at the monsters to buy time for Croton and Naionius to escape. However, the creatures start chasing them. Croton and Naionius fight back, taking down several monsters. Meanwhile, Kenechi notices a dog among the attacking wolves and realizes that this dog is controlling them. He quickly tells Croton to keep moving while he handles the situation. Suddenly, the ground shakes and a massive bear emerges. The wolves flee in fear and even the dog is startled. Kenechi immediately attacks the bear, aiming a spear at its eye. Phil jumps onto the bear and strikes it while Kenechi bombards it with rockets. The bear swallows the explosives, causing it to lose balance for a moment. Seizing the opportunity, Kenechi summons a drill and uses its shovel to deliver a finishing blow. He then stores the bear in his digital inventory. Afterward, Kenechi approaches the injured dog and heads to Croton's house to check on Mary. Croton's parents thank him sincerely. Kenechi then asks Croton to step outside for a private conversation. He tells Croton that the beast from the dog's lineage has vowed never to harm him or his family again. However, he warns that many people still seek revenge against Croton, and the only way to keep his family safe is for him to leave the town. Kenechi suggests that Croton should leave, but Croton refuses, explaining that his wife and daughter are deeply connected to the city. Kenechi then proposes another option. He knows of an organization in the city that recruits citizens, and he will look into it. That way, Croton can move away without abandoning his family's future. He leaves Croton to think about the matter. The next morning, Mayali is furious at Kenechi for not informing her about last night's mission, as she wanted to participate. Kenechi explains that he needed her to stay with Anemone so she wouldn't be alone. A few days later, Croton and Naionius leave for the barony of Northpole, while Mary gradually recovers. Once she fully recovers, she and her mother will join Croton. Later, Kenechi and Mayali encounter the dog in the forest. Kenechi asks why he's still here. The dog reveals that many people harbored grudges against Croton, but that is no longer an issue. His paws are covered in blood, and he states that he can no longer remain in Estrantia. With that, he walks away. Kenechi then takes the bear to the blacksmith, who is shocked that he managed to defeat such a beast. Kenechi asks him to extract meat and magic stones from the bear. The blacksmith tells him it will take until the evening due to the bear's massive size. Kenechi agrees and leaves. Kenechi returns home and decides to test the magical device he bought from the shop. He adds the alkaline substance in alcohol, then pours the esterified salad oil into the upper container. In the other container, he places the biodiesel he had previously made. The device successfully separates the materials. He then mixes gasoline with the diesel, runs the machine again, and manages to produce biodiesel that usually costs 3,000 yen per liter for only 300 yen. Afterward, Kenechi visits the shop owner, who hands him a magic book and tells him it contains a magic stone. The spell written in the book is linked to that very stone. Next, Kenechi heads to the blacksmith, retrieves the bear meat and the magic stone from within the bear, and then leaves. On his way home, he notices Primula following him. She suddenly approaches and grabs his hand. Kenechi is shocked to see her and asks what she's doing here. Primula looks hurt and asks why he left her so suddenly. Kenechi explains that he had no choice. If the nobles had caught him, the Malo company wouldn't have gotten into trouble. They head to the hotel where she is staying, and Primula tells him that the carriage he taught them how to build earned them a noble title. She also updates him on his other achievements and inventions. Kenechi then asks her about the rumor that she is going to marry Baron Nor. Primula firmly denies it, saying she rejected the proposal. She declares that she won't return to her hometown unless he accompanies her. If he refuses, she will stay with him in the city. She then asks him to stay with her for the night. The next morning, Kenechi returns home with Primula. When she sees the other girls, she gets upset, accusing Kini of leaving her behind while taking Anemone and Mayali with him. Kenechi explains that Anemone is just a child. He couldn't leave her alone, and Mayali had followed him on her own. He then announces to everyone that from now on, they will all live together. The next morning, Kenechi reads the magic book and attempts to cast the spell, but he fails. However, when Anemone picks up the book and reads the spell aloud, her body suddenly emits a glowing aura. Everyone is stunned as she successfully casts the spell. And that's the end of today's episode. To watch more episodes, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on new content.
Our episode begins with Anemone using her magic, but she casts a spell incorrectly, causing a fire to break out in the house. Everyone panics, and Kenechi quickly buys fire extinguishers from an online store. The group works together to put out the flames. Anemone apologizes, but Kenechi reassures her that she's amazing for being able to use magic at all. Suddenly she faints, and they carry her to bed, giving her medicine and preparing a healthy meal for her. After a few days, Kenechi and his friends visit Mary's family since Mary has fully recovered. They all gather for a barbecue and Kenechi takes charge of grilling the meat. However, they find it a bit tough, so he decides to tenderize it by pounding it. He then prepares his secret sauce using soy sauce, hot pepper, and various other ingredients. When he finishes, the girls taste the meat again and are amazed by how delicious it has become. Later that night, Kenechi gives them his illustrated book. Both Mary and Anemone are impressed, and Primula excitedly tells him that the book is fantastic and could become very popular. Then an idea strikes her. She wants to start a business in Astrantia, selling illustrated books along with Kenechi's famous bear and Rinka meat dishes. Everyone agrees as there's no restaurant in town offering such delicious soup. Mary's mother then offers to help Primula with the business as a way to repay Kenechi for healing her daughter. All the girls decide to support the venture. The next morning, Kenechi and Primula head to the market while the girls start serving food to customers. More and more people gather to try their dishes. Suddenly, an angry man appears, claiming that there are bugs in his soup. Primula and the girls are shocked because they know it's impossible for their food to contain insects. They suspect that the man deliberately planted them to cause trouble. Meanwhile, Kenechi uses a drone and observes, "The plateau above this cliff seems untouched. There must be plenty of medicinal herbs and fresh vegetables up there." Anemone, using a microscope, discovers many beautiful sparkling stones. Kenechi, seeing them, exclaims, "I've never seen gems with these colors before. They're bound to sell for a fortune." That night, Kenechi meets with the girls, and Primula excitedly tells him that they sold out all their goods. Kenechi is stunned, thinking to himself that he can't believe they sold everything on the first day, but he realizes that it's due to the high quality of the food he prepares and Primula's exceptional talent in business. Just then, Kenechi notices a woman among the girls. She appears to be from a beastman race. Curious, he asks them about her. Primula remembers that earlier in the market, when the man was arguing with her about the bug in his soup, this woman had stepped forward and exposed his lie, proving that he had planted the insect himself. Returning to the present, Primula introduces the woman, saying she has hired her as a personal bodyguard. The woman introduces herself as Nyamina. That evening, everyone returns home and enjoys dinner together, with Nyamina particularly delighted by the food. Then, everyone decides they want to take a hot bath. Anemone heads to the bathing area and uses her magic to heat the water. Later, we see Kenechi teaching Anemone how to read and write. After their lesson, everyone goes to sleep. The next morning, the girls return to the stall to continue their business, while Kenechi builds scaffolding to collect magical stones. When the girls return from the stall, they talk about the day's events. The following morning, Primula takes a day off from the stall, and the whole group sets out to climb the plateau. They enjoy the beautiful lake, flowers, and vast trees. Meanwhile, Kenechi mines the magical stones and stores them in his online shop. When he checks their price, he finds that a single stone sells for 200,000 yen. Overjoyed at the thought of becoming rich, he extracts all the magical stones he can. That night, everyone returns home and prepares dinner. As Kenechi finishes cooking, the girls eagerly try his food and are particularly impressed by the mayonnaise. Primula asks him to teach her the recipe. Even after finishing dinner, they still feel hungry, so they head outside for a bear meat barbecue. Nyamina, curious about the enticing aroma, asks Kenechi what kind of food it is, as she has never smelled anything so delicious before. He hands her a piece of meat, and as soon as she tastes it, she is amazed. Then he offers her a drink, which astonishes her even more. As she approaches Kenechi to thank him, the other girls become jealous. Miali grabs Nyamina by the hair, but Kenechi stops her, reminding her that Primula needs Nyamina as her bodyguard. A month passes, and Primula's stall expands, now known as Corolla Stall. Kenechi continues mining magical stones, accumulating a fortune of around 15 million yen. Meanwhile, Anemone gathers medicinal herbs from the forest, and Miali hunts birds. Primula's business flourishes, and she even acquires a warehouse for product preparation. The girl named Iris becomes the general manager of their branches, and their annual profits surpass 200 million yen. That night, everyone enjoys a meal together, relishing their successful and happy lives. The next morning, we shift to the castle, where a girl named Lilith enters her mother's chamber. Her mother informs her that they have received news. The bandits residing near Dahlia have been defeated. The one who vanquished them was a wizard who summoned an iron monster. This was undoubtedly a direct strike against the faction opposing the monarchy. It seems that this wizard has now settled near Astrantia. Who is this queen? What is her agenda? And why is she interested in Kenechi? Find out in the next episode, but don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to stay updated with all the latest episodes.
Today's episode starts with Primula introducing herself to Mr. Yubato's wife, Kanan. They talk about her father's company and their trade business. Meanwhile, we see Kenechi visiting a witch to buy a book on explosion magic. The witch also gives Anemone a book as a gift, which is about household magic. At night, Kenechi is with his friends when Primula tells him that Lady Kanan wants an elegant brooch. During her visit to Dahlia City, a noblewoman noticed the brooches sold by Mala's company and left the city feeling upset. Kenechi gives Primula a carved stone with a woman's image on it. When Primula sees it, she realizes the woman resembles Lady Kanan. Kenechi tells her to give it to Kanan and say that he made it especially for her. The next morning, Miali tells Kenechi about some dungeons in the area. She didn't mention them before because she didn't want Nyama to know she still doesn't like her. Anemone then says she wants to go with them, and Kenechi agrees. The group sets off and is amazed by the beauty of the dungeon. Kenechi takes some photos with his camera. They discover several crystals, and Kenechi uses a rocket tool to collect them, hoping to sell them for a fortune. Suddenly, they see something strange approaching, a giant spider. They prepare for battle. Kenechi attacks with his spear, but it has no effect. Miali throws some powder into the spider's eyes, weakening it. Kenechi tells Anemone to use her magic and aim for its eyes, but she's too scared to do it. The spider attacks them, and they decide to escape. Once outside, Anemone feels ashamed and apologizes to Kenechi for not being able to use her magic. He reassures her, telling her she's still too young for dangerous adventures. That night, they all relax in hot water, but Nyamune is furious that they didn't tell her about the dungeon. Kenechi announces that he plans to go back to extract more crystals. Nyamune insists on joining them, since Primula has taken a few days off work. Kenechi agrees. Later, in the room, Kenechi tells Anemone that he has finished recording the spellbook. Excited, Anemone opens it to start reading, but Kenechi stops her, saying she should continue her training first. The next morning, the group trains for battle and heads back to the dungeon. Kenechi resumes collecting crystals when the giant spider returns. They execute their plan. The girls throw poison at the spider to stop it from spinning its webs. Anemone seizes the opportunity, launching a fireball at the spider, burning it completely. They defeat the spider and continue exploring. As they move forward, the spider reappears, and another battle begins. But suddenly, a second spider emerges, this time a female. Kenechi realizes that the female is larger and stays in her nest while the male hunts for food. Since the male is dead, the female won't survive without food and will eventually die. They decide to leave, but the spider blocks the exit. The girls throw poison at it, and Anemone tries casting spells, but nothing works. The spider keeps attacking, refusing to move. Kenechi comes up with a new plan. He buys a bulldozer. He and Anemone ride it straight at the spider. He swings the shovel at the creature, but it clings onto it and climbs up. And Anemone quickly uses her magic to knock the spider away. And Kenechi lands a final crushing blow with the bulldozer shovel, killing it. With the path finally clear, Kenechi gathers more crystals before they leave the dungeon. Then they return home, and the moment Primula sees the spider, she screams in terror. Everyone rushes inside, and we see that Kenechi has brought a spider egg with him. He tells them that it's actually very useful. When cooked, the egg provides the body with vitamins and great strength. He decides to cook it, and when the girls taste it, they love the flavor. Primula excitedly comments that it tastes just like cheese. He explains that cheese exists in the kingdom of Kadan, but it's only produced in select regions, making it very expensive. This gives her the idea to start making and selling cheese to earn money. Kenechi tells her that making cheese is actually quite simple. All it requires is milk and apple cider vinegar. He then makes some cheese for them to try, and they find it absolutely delicious. Primula expresses her desire to teach Lady Kanan how to make cheese. However, Kenechi refuses, saying he doesn't want to deal with nobles. Meanwhile, the corrupt merchant Thugalum starts harassing Primula at her trading stall. She asks Nyamuna not to tell Kenechi, but when he returns home, Nyamuna tells him everything. Kenechi immediately declares that he will protect Primula from the corrupt merchant. However, Primula insists that she will defeat him through business and asks Kenechi to leave it to her. With Lady Kanan's help, the next morning, Thugalum receives a letter from Lady Kanan warning him to stay away from Primula's shop. Later, we see Primula and the girls happily running their restaurant, enjoying their success. One day, Queen Kanan herself visits Kenechi's home. He welcomes her warmly, and she tells him that she admires him and his adventures, especially his efforts to help the weak. Curious, Kenechi asks why she has come all the way to see him. Suddenly, something strange happens to the queen. She starts feeling weak and dizzy. What could be happening to her? We'll find out in the next episode, but don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss anything new. Our episode today begins with Kenechi informing his friends that the king has ordered the construction of a massive irrigation canal in the kingdom of Kadan. They plan to ignore the competition between the lords and focus on building the canal to expand agricultural lands. The scene then shifts to the palace, where Lord Yubado stands before the king and the other rulers. The king becomes furious because Yubado has not yet completed the canal project. Terrified, Yubado swears that he will finish the task as soon as possible. Next, we see Kenechi standing before the queen, who asks him to complete the construction within a month. She promises to assist him in meeting the deadline and will grant him anything he desires. Then, the queen asks Kenechi about high-level protection, but he doesn't understand what she means. Niamina explains that high-level protection refers to an advanced defensive mage capable of shielding a person even from a dragon's breath. Kenechi agrees to the queen's request, making her extremely happy as she thanks him. They all board a carriage and head to the construction site. Upon arrival, Kenechi notices that the workers are still cutting down trees, and at this rate, the construction will take over a year to complete. Many of Kenechi's old friends are working there, along with merchants involved in the project. The queen introduces Kenechi to the merchants. One of the merchants hands the queen a price list, and Rimala is shocked to see that an axe costs 10 silver coins. She tells the queen that something is wrong with these prices. The merchant explains that he is factoring in transportation costs, and that he is the only one who can supply this many axes at once. Kenechi then states that he can provide the same number of axes for just 1 silver coin each. The queen decides to buy the axes from Kenechi instead, angering the merchant, who then warns her that he represents the Thogalum Company, the same man who had been harassing Rimala. Everyone gets back to work, and Kenechi summons his excavator to speed up the construction. By dinner time, he hunts for food and prepares a meal. The queen tastes the food and finds it delicious. Kenechi then realizes that all the workers are hungry, but cannot afford to buy food from the nearby restaurant because it is too expensive. Rimala decides to sell food to the workers at a low price. She follows through with her plan, and the workers happily buy from her. The next morning, when Kenechi steps outside, he sees Rimala and Queen Kainan serving breakfast to the workers. When Kenechi lays eyes on Queen Kainan, he is mesmerized by her beauty and playfully flirts with her, saying he is about to fall in love. The girls get angry at him, but he laughs it off, saying he was only joking. Just then, a female merchant arrives with the previous merchant, furious at them for taking her customers and stealing the axe deal. Rimala reveals that she is the daughter of the owner of the Malo Trading Company, and that the secret to their great profits is always conducting business with honesty. She advises the merchant to sell at reasonable prices. Angered, the merchants leave. Kenechi resumes work with the excavator, making significant progress on the canal. Everyone is doing their job efficiently. Later that night, Kenechi stands near the water basins, realizing they now have a water shortage issue. He thinks of a solution when his wolf friends inform him of a nearby spring they can access easily. However, it is difficult for humans to reach the location on foot. Kenechi asks the wolves to bring him water from the spring, promising them a drink in return. The wolves agree and fetch more water for the worksite, allowing Kenechi to successfully solve the water shortage problem. The next morning, we see Kenechi presenting a contract to the queen. When she looks at it, she is shocked to find her signature at the bottom. Kenechi smugly tells her that he took advantage of her being unaware last night and made her sign it. The contract states that the queen is now obligated to follow Kenechi's instructions from now on. They continue working on the canal and successfully complete the section for Estrantia within the deadline. Celebrations are held in the palace with the royal family in attendance, and Kenechi is reluctantly forced to join. During the event, one of the guests requests Kenechi to demonstrate some magic. In response, he summons his excavator and puts on a show. The audience is amazed and bursts into applause. Meanwhile, Lord Thunberge approaches the queen and asks, "Is this the mage who defeated Shag? I can't believe he's in Estrantia. I assumed you two would abandon your land and flee in the night after failing to meet the deadline." The queen smirks at his words and sarcastically laughs, assuring him that they will complete the entire construction successfully. As Lord Thunberger heads toward his carriage, Rimala watches closely and whispers to Kenechi that inside the Lord's carriage is an elderly noble who was exiled from Dahlia after being stripped of his status. She suspects he was the one who hired Shag to kidnap her. Later, the king and queen sit with Kenechi and thank him for his hard work on the canal. At that moment, Kenechi presents them with a book, explaining that he got it from Lady Rimala's shop. The king examines it curiously, noting that the words and images aren't drawn by hand, nor printed using woodblocks. He wonders how it was made. Kenichi realizes that the king shares his fascination with creativity and decides to create more books for him in the future. The king then asks Rimolo to manage his land's finances from now on. She agrees, but says she will need help from her father's company. However, the king expresses concern about what might happen if the Malo Trading Company comes here, fearing that the Thogalum Company will cause trouble. The queen suggests that Kenichi expel Thogalum from the town, and Kenichi agrees. That night, Kenichi and the girls return home, receiving the high-level protection spellbook as a reward. And with that, our episode comes to an end. To watch more episodes, make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. Our episode today begins with the girl Lilith as she heads to see her mother. It turns out that her mother is the queen. She enters and says, "Do you remember the canal construction? They've almost finished on time." Her mother opens a map to check the scheduled completion time. At this point, we don't understand much, but stay tuned until the end to figure everything out. The scene then shifts to Kenichi, who is talking to Inemine. He asks her, "Did your real mother leave you anything?" She replies, "She didn't leave me anything, but it seems she gave me my name." Kenichi thinks about it and realizes that the woman who raised Inemine must have taken her from another woman who died on the street. The next morning, they head to the guild where Inemine registers and receives a book. Kenichi asks, "Have you ever heard of a talented witch who died on the street about 10 years ago?" The guildmaster realizes that he is searching for Inemine's mother. She tells him, "I don't know about her dying on the street, but there was a witch with the same black hair named Silver who disappeared about 10 years ago. She was also the original owner of this spellbook. I only discovered this while updating its registration. If you want Enemone to find her mother, you'll need to dig deeper." They leave and Enemone tries using her powers, but she fails. Feeling down, Kenichi encourages her, saying, "Don't feel discouraged. Failure is the beginning of success." She replies, "I feel strange. My stomach hurts." Later, they return home and she takes some painkillers. Everything seems normal and everyone happily goes about their day. A few days later, something unexpected happens. A carriage is moving on water. Stepping out of it is Malo, the father of Kenichi's wife, Primula. He greets her and congratulates her on her new restaurant. They sit at a table and Malo notices an umbrella, asking, "What is this, a sunshade? It looks really nice." They then discuss trade and business opportunities. That evening, they prepare a delicious dinner and everyone enjoys a peaceful night. The next morning, Croton, Primula's ex-fiancé, arrives and is shocked to find out that she is already married. Heartbroken, he becomes upset, but they calm him down, saying, "She was in your hands, but you let her go. You have no one to blame but yourself." Later, they arrive at Sogum Trading Company. Kenichi tells Baron and the others to wait outside while he goes in. Upon meeting the merchant, Kenichi asks, "Do you buy goods in this store? I have something to sell." The merchant replies, "Yes, what do you want to sell?" Kenichi then reveals a massive spider, completely wrecking the place. The merchant shouts, "What the hell, you idiot? Are you trying to start a fight and destroy my shop?" Kenichi smirks, "Yes, I'm picking a fight and I'll do whatever I want." Finally, the merchant Sogum himself appears. Kenichi introduces himself and says, "I came here to pay you back for all the trouble you caused my wife's shop, you fool." Sogum orders his men, "Shut this guy up and teach him a lesson." But his men hesitate, saying, "Sir, that guy just took down a spider the size of a cannonball. How the hell are we supposed to beat him?" The commander told his men, "Don't fall for his trick. He probably just found a dead monster in the forest and brought it here." Then his group drew their weapons. Merchant Sogum grew furious and sneered at Kenichi. "I didn't think you were foolish enough to come alone. You planned all this, but the numbers are still in my favor, you idiot." Everyone was tense until they saw the wildcat. Kenichi calmly told them, "This beast is part of my family. It would never stand by an evil person. If any of you die fighting it, you will all be damned, and God will never forgive you." Hearing this, the men hesitated. One by one, they started backing away, unwilling to risk going to hell for this fight. In the end, only 2 or 3 remained. Even the commander panicked and fled. But then the real surprise appeared. Another person arrived, someone from the Wolf clan. A massive group gathered. It looked like a true war was about to begin. The Wolf clan leader lunged at Kenichi, but another warrior blocked his attack with full force. Chaos erupted. Battles broke out and many fell. Even the wildcat grabbed a dagger and threw it into the fountain. Kenichi then made his move. He summoned a dredger and jumped inside. Using it, he began smashing everything in sight, knocking enemies down one by one with flying bricks. The commander found himself cornered. He turned and ran, but Kenichi was right behind him. And then, boom! Kenichi summoned a massive excavator from the cat brand and smirked. "I'm going to destroy your entire shop." With one mighty strike, part of the shop crumbled. But before Kenechi could do more damage, Malo stepped in and shouted, "Enough, Kenechi! It's over! Stop destroying everything!" At that moment, a merchant called out to Sogum, "I never imagined you'd try to have me killed, you fool. From today, our alliance is over, and if you don't leave this town immediately, I'll have you charged with attempted murder. You're a traitor, and I'll never trust you again." With that, Sogum was officially exiled from the country. Just as he was leaving, news arrived. A royal summons from the king. It seemed Kenechi had stirred up quite a mess. Sogum smirked and laughed. "Oh, you're in for some real trouble now. You haven't seen anything yet." That night, Kenechi sighed. "Why do I keep getting into these problems? I just want to live a normal life. Now the king wants to see me. What the hell did I do this time?" Primula reassured him. "You're wrong. These aren't problems. They're risks that bring great rewards. That's how business works." She continued, "You have to endure and stay strong. The key to Malo's trading empire is that he takes risks. And I've already made my decision. I'll live by your side, Kenechi. I love you, and you have incredible strength." The next morning, Mary left after receiving a beautiful gift from Enimone. The others departed as well, and Kenechi and Primula bid them farewell. Meanwhile, Croton's family traveled to Barren Norsepole. Kenechi, deep in thought, stored away supplies, solar energy, food, and everything he could. He wondered aloud, what if I just ran away instead of going to the royal capital? But the merchant father of the princess warned him that would be a terrible idea. If you defy a royal order, they'll think I helped you escape or hid you. In the worst-case scenario, they might suspect us of being part of the rebel faction that opposes the monarchy. With no other choice, Kenechi got into his car and drove off. But what dangers await him on the road ahead? What will be the next great adventure of Kenechi the Mighty? Stay tuned. If there are more episodes, we promise to bring them to you. But remember, you must subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss a single update. Then we see our heroes arriving at the royal capital, marveling at its grandeur and the presence of golems. They reach the palace and request to meet the king. Soon the young Princess Lilith appears and asks why they wish to see the king. Kenechi introduces himself as a merchant, though people call him the magician. One of the guards then asks how he managed to reach the capital in such a short time. In response, Kenechi summons his carriage and explains that it is a fast means of transportation. Princess Lilith, intrigued, hops into the carriage with Kenechi, amazed by it. He takes her on a ride around the city before returning to the palace. Impressed, the princess offers him a reward and asks him to choose anything he desires. Kenechi requests permission to use a small section of the palace's back garden for camping, as he and his friends wish to stay there until their meeting with the king. The princess agrees. Kenechi and his friends head to the garden, where he summons a house. The princess, astonished, rushes inside to explore it. She then declares that she will stay with them in this house. Kenechi proceeds to summon more houses and even a drilling machine. Excited, Princess Lilith climbs onto the machine and starts operating it. But Kenechi stops her, lifts her in his arms, and brings her down from the machine. Suddenly, an angry guard draws his sword, furious that Kenechi touched the princess. He attacks, but Kenechi summons a shield and blocks the strike. Just as Kenechi is about to counterattack, Anemone uses her magic and casts a fireball at the guard. In a shocking turn, Princess Lilith steps between them and orders everyone to stop. Curious, the princess approaches Anemone and asks how she can use magic at such a young age. She also inquires whether Anemone can cast other spells. Anemone proudly states that she can use the explosion spell. Everyone, including the princess, is amazed. That night, Kenechi prepares dinner and serves it to everyone. When Princess Lilith tastes the food, she finds it incredibly delicious. After finishing the meal, she expresses her admiration for the plate and spoon, saying she wants to buy them. Kenechi tells her that each plate costs 20 gold coins, and each spoon also costs 20 gold coins. The princess agrees and decides to buy 10 sets. She then moves closer to Kenechi and asks about the products available in his online store. However, Anemone gets angry at the princess for getting too close and demands that she stay away from Kenechi immediately. And so the days pass peacefully, with Kenechi, the princess, and their friends enjoying their time together. One morning, the Queen Mother awakens and gazes down at Kenechi and his friends from the balcony, contemplating meeting him. One day, the princess asks Kenechi and his friends to exterminate the rats infesting the castle's basement. Kenechi, using a massive amount of rat poison he purchased from Shangri, eliminates over 1,000 rats. On another occasion, Primula organizes an auction among the royal family's vassals to sell parts of the giant spider they had slain in the cave. Later, the princess invites Kenechi to dine at the royal palace. The food impresses everyone, and when Kenechi serves dessert, the princess is especially delighted. She then tells him that her mother, the queen, was also enamored with the sweets. Kenechi summons another box of desserts for her. One night, as Kenechi and his friends sit together, they sense something strange around them. The princess reveals that countless people have died to preserve the royal family's rule, many of whom perished harboring deep resentment. Therefore, it's no surprise that the castle is haunted by ghosts. She then asks Kenechi if he can exorcise them. Kenechi explains that only beastkin girls and lynxes can sense spirits, so he requests permission to bring them into the castle. The princess immediately agrees. Kenechi and the girls enter carrying a spray bottle filled with holy water and a supply of purifying salts, combining the mystical powers of both East and West. As they explore the castle, the girls detect ghostly presences in a particular corner. Kenechi quickly sprays the area, making the spirits vanish. They then move to the servants' quarters where he purifies the entire place before heading to other rooms, cleansing them as well. Their final stop is the Queen Mother's chamber. Kenechi hesitates, fearing he might disturb her sleep. However, the princess reassures him that her mother has been plagued by nightmares lately and won't be bothered by their presence. Inside the room, Kenechi notices a strange vase. When he sprays it, the ghosts remain unaffected. He also observes that the lynx's eyes are fixated on the vase. Realizing the object is the root of the problem, he tells the princess that the vase must be removed from the castle immediately. After completing the exorcism, Kenechi heads to the library, where he finds numerous books on magic. He and Anemone begin reading them, but since taking books outside the library is forbidden, they decide to copy them. In just 4 hours, they manage to duplicate 35 books. After leaving the library, Kenechi visits the princess's room to thank her for the reward. The next morning, Kenechi and his friends prepare to meet the king. What will happen next? How will Kenechi handle his encounter with the king? Find out in the next season. For more new anime updates, make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss anything. Our episode begins today with Kenechi and his group entering a large hall, and everyone wonders if Kenechi is a wizard or not. He is the center of attention, standing before the king. The queen looks at Kenechi as though he is an evil demon, and Kenechi feels something unusual as she gazes at him. He then speaks to them, introducing himself as Kenechi, a wizard from the borderlands. The official tells him that now he will face a battle before the king, and his opponent is the rising star of the capital, the shining Melissa Lana. We now realize that the king's purpose in gathering everyone here is to witness this battle. What a clever deception. Melissa, the sorceress, tells him he should leave before his mother comes to lick him clean, calling him a fool, and warns that she will destroy him. She then summons the fire dragon beast. Kenechi responds by summoning his famous kraken, and the battle begins. Everyone works together to defeat him. Even the cat runs at full speed trying to strike him, but nothing affects him. Kenechi tries again, but it's futile. Melissa uses her incredible powers to unleash a powerful explosion, causing pain to the dragon, but it seems unaffected. Despite the learning process it's going through, Kenechi then delivers a lethal blow to them, but Melissa uses her massive barrier wall to block it, shocking everyone. They then shoot arrows into its eyes. The dragon begins to strike brutally and wildly in multiple places. The attack is random, and it could endanger lives. Melissa then uses the colossal Jolin Stone, and everyone is stunned, questioning how an ordinary child can use such a high-level ability. Then, a giant hand emerges from the ground, grabs the dragon, and throws it far away. Kenechi seizes the opportunity, charges with the kraken, delivers several consecutive strikes, and finally lands the finishing blow, destroying the dragon instantly and storing it away. Kenechi then speaks into the microphone, embarrassing the king with his words. He says, "I would like to thank you for inviting me, your majesty, to this wonderfully staged performance, but I can't help but feel anger as I witnessed my family being put in danger. So I will use the power of this summoned beast to destroy your reception hall. After I escape from here, I will use all my skills to utterly destroy your country." Kenechi apologizes to Malo for making a rash announcement out of anger. The royal family is waiting for him, and he is uncertain what danger awaits him, realizing that he has put everyone at risk. Malo reassures him, telling him to do whatever he wants because no matter where he goes, she will be with him and will not run away. The rest of the team also assures him they won't leave his side. Kenechi thanks them, expressing his fear that if they escape now, they will never live peacefully again, worried about what could happen to Malo or her business. At that moment, a lady approaches and tells Kenechi that she knows his family was in danger, and it's natural for him to be angry. However, she says that he cannot escape from here. She asks him to work with her as a wizard. Kenechi refuses, not wanting to become a pawn in the hands of the royal family. She then makes another request. As her birthday is approaching, she wants him to give her a gift, and based on that gift, she will ask her father to forgive him for his actions and give him a document that will legitimize his actions. Kenechi is puzzled, not understanding what they want from him. Malo, sensing his confusion, asks what he's thinking. She tells him that his creations are amazing because of the high skill involved in making them, but she's always been surprised at how many of them are similar, like the clothespins and axes. She thinks the best gift would be something unique. Kenechi gives her a circlet as a gift, and she is amazed by the pearls in it. It's just a necklace made of large beads of the same color, but when she wears it, it looks very beautiful. Afterward, the king forgives Kenechi and hands him the punishment document. Kenechi thanks him, though he's not fully content with the situation. However, as long as things are resolved in the proper way, he accepts it. He wonders if this document was what they wanted all along. The king's wife then speaks with Kenechi, upset that Kenechi gave her daughter a necklace, but not her. Kenechi explains that it was a birthday gift for her daughter. She replies that her birthday is also approaching. Kenechi responds that, of course, he has a gift for her too, and gives her the same necklace. The queen is astounded by its beauty. She then asks why Kenechi calls Lilith by her name, but refers to her as the queen. Kenechi explains that this is the first time he's meeting her and asks how she would like him to address her. She tells him to call her Hamaranthus. Kenechi then asks her if there's any old furniture in the palace. If there is, he would like to take it. The queen takes him to a place where old furniture is stored. Amara tells Kenechi to take the desk she used when she was a child. When she sees it, she remembers those hellish days. Kenechi agrees and stores it away. Later, Amara asks Kenechi to accompany her outside the palace, but he doesn't respond, and they both leave. Kenechi thinks to himself, as expected from real royal antiques, these could be placed in a museum in my old world. He then notices a vase. Amara tells him, I had peaceful sleep thanks to you. When we interrogated the noble who sent this to me, he confessed that he gave it to me knowing it was cursed because they wanted to kill me. The person who gave it to me was one of the nobles who died because of the breath of the lesser dragon. Kenechi asks her, did you intend to get rid of him there because he tried to assassinate you? She replies, killing from the breath of the lesser dragon wasn't intentional. That man was among the nobles of the faction against the monarchy, those who opposed the royal family's rule. Recently, actions by Thunbergia from Akimenesh have become the most troublesome. He's in the lowest ranks of the faction. I've heard he's scheming to seize Strantia, which is next to him, including sending his pawns from the anti-monarchy faction. Many thugs and bandits were trying to add Dahlia to their territory as well. The bandit hiding in the old castle near Dahlia, the one you defeated, had the power of a state. That means we need to be aware. The anti-monarchy faction has temporarily expanded, and we are grateful to you. Kenechi, now feeling afraid, thinks to himself, this woman is terrifying. The scene then shifts to Premola, who asks Anemone where she learned the high-level protection spell. Anemone responds that she learned it from a spellbook she heard belonged to a woman named Armeria. Premola mentions that Armeria was famous and asks her about her mother's name in the magic book. Anemone hands the book to Premola, saying, you should appreciate it. It's a souvenir from her. I'm sure we'll meet again one day. The scene then moves to the king, who says, I have granted the lands of Estilby overlooking the lake as an additional reward. Since Estilby Lake is right in front of my house, and since it has been granted to me, I can no longer stay as a commoner. I've also granted the title of Baron for life. I've become a noble, and finally, we're back home. But we bought a new car because Lilith and Maylene accompanied us. Lilith wanted to come with us, but her father refused. She said to him, if you refuse my request, I'll leave the royal family. Lilith then says to Kenechi, a wizard with your power could join the anti-monarchy faction. On their way, Kenechi sees his friend Fuyo and is surprised to learn that Fuyo has become a noble. Fuyo says that their numbers have increased. Kenechi replies, they are my family. This is the beginning of my peaceful life. The episode ends with Kenechi saying, this is the start of my peaceful life. The narrator then concludes, this is the end of today's episode. Stay tuned for the upcoming episodes. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to subscribe and activate the bell so you can receive all the latest updates.